Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my first podcast. This is the first time I'm actually doing a solo podcast like this. I'm coming to you from my apartment. Behind me is Jasper's Giant Star Diner, which is Jasper and Reggie. They are both currently aired down right now, so they're not performing for you like you're used to seeing on this YouTube channel. Today we're going to be just talking. This is kind of a new thing that I'm kind of jumping into here. Welcome to the very first episode of Matt the Franchise podcast. I don't know if that's probably not going to be the name we go. It's just kind of this is a pilot episode, I guess you could say. I'm just going to try it out and also just kind of just see where this goes. I've been wanting to do something like this for a really, really long time, and I just feel like now is the right time to finally bring it all together. So I'm currently live on TikTok right now. I've got a little audience right now, and they're going to be asking random questions here in a little bit. And that's going to kind of help us kind of get our topics started for this event. And thank you for all those who are currently watching at this moment on TikTok Live. I want to give you a little bit of acknowledgement and thank you guys for supporting what's going on here. So let's go ahead and I'm going to open the floor to questions by the audience. So please guys, feel free to ask whatever kind of questions you want to ask. This is your chance. Now please keep in mind that all questions are not going to be answered, but I'm going to do my best to answer them if I can. If I don't get to your question, I do apologize in advance. Let's see. First question I'm seeing here is that an original Pizza Time Theater Jasper mask? So as most of you guys know, this is Jasper behind me. Jasper does, in fact, have a Pizza Time Theater mask on. The mask is dated 1979. It came off of another character. I forgot from where specifically, but that's basically the condition it's been in for the past 40 plus years, and it's a first generation, so the snout is a little bit smaller than what the normal ones are like. So they're it's a little bit shorter than like what the later wrinkle faced Jasper mask would look like too. Just a basic one. How have you been? I've been doing pretty good. Just a lot going on in life these days. Just a lot been changing. Some for the good. Basically for the good. There's been a lot of positive changes that have been going on lately, and I've just been trying to focus on those and trying to really kind of see where life is going to take me right now. And, right now I've been very blessed and appreciative of the fact that I'm, getting to do that. Somebody asked, were they always in working condition, or did you have to fix them up? So with these animatronic characters, I did in fact have to clean them up and fix them a lot. I did have a lot of help from friends. Just to name a few, from a mechanical standpoint, I had my friends Mike and Patrick help me. They were really big help on that. From cosmetic wise, it came from from folks like, of course, like my other friends, like I'm trying to remember, like Emmett, and I also had another friend named Shelby who helped me design a costume outfit for Jasper and stuff, that kind of thing. All right, let's see what else we got here. How did you come up with the name Jasper's Giant Star Diner? Okay, so the idea of that actually came from basically how a lot of people have names for their shows. And I wanted to have something that represented Jasper because, I've got Jasper, and honestly, at this point, he'll probably end up being the only character I get. But if that's the case, I'll be happy as is. At one point I was wanting to get them all, but Um, but anyways, so as far as that goes, I kind of lost my train of thought on that one. Whoops. Anyways, the name Jasper's Giant Star Diner because of the fact that Jasper is primarily the main character in this setup, but also the fact that, of course, behind him is a giant star, hence the name. So that's where the name originated from, and that's where it came from. It was based solely on his backdrop and stuff, and that's where basically the name originated from and where it came from. So that's where it came from, and that's where the name Jasper's Giant Star Diner came from. And I also I call it a diner because it's in my living room, but also it's in my living room, but it's also where I also like to serve, of course, also my famous Matt the Franchise pizzas. Let's see here. Somebody asked, what's your opinion on the 3-stage? I absolutely love the 3-stage, both the Rocket Fire version and the actual 3-stage ChuckECheese version of it. I do really enjoy both stages. I like the actual concept of them. Hence why the backgrounds of my stage is actually the 3-stage buildings instead of it being the regular style. Because also I couldn't find the other ones either. So, just working with what I've got basically. Let's see. How did it go when Chris visited you? It went absolutely amazing. So I'm sure as you guys know, I've been collaborating a lot with Chris Bauer, aka Set Streets and Eats. Probably one of the most nicest guys in the world. Me and him have collaborated on a bunch of videos. The first one obviously being when he came and visited me here at Jasper's Giant Star Diner. Basically, he just he got a hold of me. He was telling me he was in town, and I told him, hey, let's try to meet up, and just the stars aligned, and here we are. We were able to make that work, and then the last couple of times he's come down to visit, we've tried to film some stuff here and there. We've done, of course, the History of Montfort video. We also did a couple of other little collabs and stuff too. We went to the National Video Game Museum. Because another thing that I'm really, really into is video games. I know a lot of people usually ask me stuff based on my ChuckECheese hobby, but I do also have other hobbies as well that I know a lot of people really don't know that I like. So that's the other reason why I want to do this podcast as well, is because I want to be able to be a little bit more where you guys get to see other parts of me as well, like as far as content wise. So that's why we're doing this tonight, is something a little bit different than what you're used to seeing me normally do. So that's why I wanted to kind of do something a little more different, to change it up a little bit, because doing the same thing all the time can, get a little tiresome. So I want to try to do something different, and just something that I've never done before. And it's something, at least for my channel, it's something new. So that's where we're at here. That's why we're here. Let's see here. Let's go back up a little bit. Let's see. Do I ever think of getting any other animatronics? At some point, yes, whenever I have more space. Obviously, I'm in a small apartment right now, so unfortunately at this time, I don't see it happening. Realistically, though, if I had to, if this is the only character I ever get, I'm okay with that, honestly. Just for me personally, it's just, it's just one of those things that I feel like is important, having the one character that's always been my favorite since I was a kid. So definitely. But let's dive into, something that's a little bit more also, like I said, different. So we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the other things that I do enjoy as well when it comes to, video games and stuff. I've always been a really old school gamer, I guess you could say. For me personally, I've always loved the older gaming consoles and stuff like the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64. As a matter of fact, I actually do have an N64 here in my apartment. I haven't used it in a long time, but it's there. So if I ever want to do anything with it, it's there to do content with, which that might be something I might start, diving into a little bit as well too. So that's something, that we might see more of in the coming years. It's just taking a little bit of time to really kind of, branch out a little bit, because I know I'm known mainly for one thing, but we want to also make it to where you can see a little bit more of the other stuff that I enjoy besides the Chucky World side of it. Yes, GameCube. Somebody said GameCube for life. And I wholeheartedly agree with that, because the GameCube was a great console. And that actually brought me, or what also got me into Sonic the Hedgehog, honestly. I loved Sonic Adventure 2 and, of course, Sonic Adventure 1. So it's so interesting, because at one point I was actually trying to get a Sega Dreamcast at one point. I was trying to get it, but when I was getting ready to actually make the purchase, or when I finally had enough money saved up for my allowance, they discontinued it. And I was really, really disappointed. I was like, well, there goes that. And then not too long after that, they announced that the GameCube was going to be coming eventually. So what I ended up doing was held on to my money from the, excuse me. Those are kind of things we're going to edit out. But one thing is that when they said the GameCube was going to be coming, I'm like, okay, well, I guess that means I'm going to be getting the GameCube. So that's what I did. Ended up getting the GameCube and went from there. And the rest, as they say, is history. Because then eventually that came out, the Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 for the GameCube. And of course, they were different variations of the game. So there was a lot of new things that they both had. So somebody said they personally loved the Wii. I actually did like the Wii as well too. That was a great console system as well too. Definitely a classic. But yes, people in the chats, please feel free to throw in your questions. I'm excited and curious to see what you guys ask. That's what this is all about. It's to really get more personal with the audience, and also to kind of make you guys, see something different. Just having a little fun. What's my favorite game of all time? Great question. Absolutely great question. My favorite game of all time is Super Mario Brothers 3. That is by far my favorite game of all time. It always has been. It's always been a classic. You can never go wrong with classics. But Super Mario Brothers 3 was probably one of my favorites growing up. And it was actually the first of the Mario games that I ever beat as a kid. So yeah, that was definitely kind of that was like one of my absolute favorite. Oh, that's a good question, Tony. Tony coming in with, what type of shoe brand do you prefer? It's kind of interesting, because my taste in, shoe coverings have been different over the years. When I was younger, I used to wear K-Swiss shoes. Of course, I used to like wearing white shoes when I was younger. But when I got older, I started liking darker shoes. So right now, I currently wear like gray Vans. I love Vans, honestly. Vans are probably one of my favorites brands now as an adult. When I was younger, though, I was all about those K-Swiss and Nikes and stuff like that. Yeah, those are probably my favorites. How old is my Jasper? From what I know, my Jasper was one of the ones that was created in 1982. So you put that. So that makes him 42, roughly. Do you have a favorite game voice actor? That's a good one. I would probably say One of my favorite voice actors would probably have to be, as far as like gaming wise, probably Charles Martinet, the voice of Mario for like ever in a year. He's one of my absolute favorites, honestly. Here's a good one. Somebody asked, or somebody said, you should buy your own restaurant, then put animatronic in the building like a ChuckECheese, but design your own. Honestly, that's kind of a yes and a no kind of thing, to be honest. A yes, by the fact that I like that idea. But unfortunately, I don't think it would be a good idea because, as much as I would love to do an actual business and actually do my pizza recipe for the masses, it's better to have just one central place, whether it's at a household or, wherever, to be able to do this stuff. So that is kind of what I would think would be the best way. Honestly, I would love to create my own variation of like cosmetics for the cybers and stuff at some point. I think that would be really, really neat to do at some point in the future. So yeah. But mainly that's let's see, I have a question. Do I ever get noise complaints from the neighbors? I actually have not. I've never actually gotten a noise complaint. At least not yet. I'm knocking on wood because I don't want it to happen. But honestly, though, with how loud the show is, I'm surprised I haven't. So, yeah, I mean, truthfully, I haven't... I have not gotten a noise complaint yet. We'll see about that. Is there a ChuckECheese museum? Wishful thinking, but unfortunately at this point there is not. The closest we have gotten to that, I guess at this point, would be Northridge, honestly. Do you have a favorite game that you have played at ChuckECheese? I would definitely say my favorite game of all time. Ooh, that's a tough one. You're making me think. Yes, it has been a long time, by the way. I think that was Sadie. Yeah, that was Sadie. Shout out. But anyways, as far as my favorite game I've ever played, honestly, I would say it would probably have to be ChuckECheese Memory Match. That was always one of my favorite games growing up. That was always a fun one to play around with, and always. I mean, it wasn't a big ticket item thing or anything like that, but it definitely was one of my favorite games growing up. When they got rid of it, I was really sad. To answer that question, I am. But anyways, let's see. What is my favorite stage type? That is a really good question. I would definitely say probably the C stage with the flag wavers, because that's what I remember growing up as a kid. And by the way, there will be episodes of this podcast that we will actually like talk about, like get into more detail about stuff like that. This one's just kind of like we're trying to warm up to the idea of doing this. And I want to be able to, like I said, I want to be able to build my audience with this as well too, just so we can have topics to discuss and whatnot. So we can have all kinds of topics that we can discuss and have a good time. So that's why, that's the main reason why I'm doing this, is to, and that's the other thing too, is also share stories that I've always wanted to share, or, do things, talk about stuff that, normally people don't realize that I talk about. So that's the main thing, is that, I want to branch out a little bit more than what I'm used to doing. So but anyways, so yeah, that's a good question. What do seem like an amazing guy. What do ladies think of your hobby? Well, I will say this. It's interesting to see what their reaction is when I explain my apartment to them. Some have always been positive. Most of the time I usually get ghosted. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a great way to put it. They don't like it, dump them. Basically. Your favorite performance that they did at ChuckECon was Pasquale's I Like It Like That. That was a really good one. Big shout out to Chad, who woke up Pasquale for that one. So yeah, definitely their loss. I mean, that's debatable. But anyways, um, look, seriously, I love the non Chucky questions too, because honestly, it's not very often I get to answer stuff like that. So I appreciate those who are actually thinking outside the box with their questions. Feel free to throw out more of them. Somebody asked, what is my favorite CEC phase? Probably gonna be phase three. All right, so let's see what else. Somebody asked, is there going to be a ChuckyCon this year? Honestly, we would have announced it by now if there was going to be. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to be in the works. As much as I would love for it to happen, unfortunately, there are some things that um, I'm not able to do with that right now. So, unfortunately, not at this moment. Time will tell. Maybe eventually we'll be able to bring it back, and hopefully we can. I would love to, honestly. My Aunt Gina asks, do you drink coffee? I actually do, on occasions. Sometimes, if I feel like I need it, there are some mornings I will just wake up and I'll just be, I know I'm going to need it. Like, I'll know, like, I just feel it in my body. I usually drink my coffee with a lot of sugar. Probably not good for me, but um, oh, here's a good question. What is the strangest food you have ever eaten? That is a very, very good question, and a very intelligent one at that. Um, I'd have to say the weirdest thing that I have ever eaten. That's a good one. I'm trying to think about it. I've had sushi before. That was kind of an interesting thing. Never thought I'd ever try raw fish, but I did. Um, but yeah, mainly that, probably just sushi. I would think at this point. Sushi is delicious. Uh, I might have an opinion on that. Oh my goodness, but I do love me. I do love Chinese food though. I do love me some beef and broccoli. That's white rice, beef and broccoli. That is my absolute favorite. Like when I go get Chinese food, when I go to either the buffet or if I go to like the fancy restaurants and stuff or whatever I feel is appropriate. Somebody just said, or is that Sadie? Yeah. Said the weirdest thing they've eaten is alligator tail on a stick. That is actually really interesting. I don't know if I'd be able to do it. What's it like losing in Mario Kart all the time? Ay. In layman's terms, they're saying I'm not very good at Mario Kart. Bree is saying that I'm not very good at Mario Kart. And I'm pretty sure there's probably somebody else in the chat that could probably agree with that too. Yes, I suck at Mario Kart. But I do love playing it though. I love playing it though. Oh, my Aunt Gina says that the weirdest thing she's eaten is oyster. It looks like. Wait, was it marine alligator gar or even oyster? That's interesting. Gonna switch hands here. Hands get it a little tired. Do I know what will happen to ChuckECheese 50th anniversary? We have to get there first. We're still like what, three years out or something like that. Let's see, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 3 years out. So, it's one of those things you gotta wait and see what happens there. Have you ever met Bob West? Honestly, I have never met Bob West. I would love to meet him though. He seems like a really nice guy, honestly. Definitely on my to meet list at some point. Let's see. But going back to somebody was talking about Mario Kart earlier, and I would definitely say that yeah, I'm not the best at Mario Kart, but I do love playing though. Honestly, like that to me is like one of my favorite games to play with my friends and stuff. It's just one of those things where it's just like I just love being able to interact with my friends and stuff, even if I'm losing. I really honestly don't care. I know my losing streak with one of my friends is like really big. And so honestly, it's just fun for me, honestly. It's just, I'll make it fun. I will be a little competitive, but like when I'm playing though, I don't actually mean it. I'm just trying to have a little fun, is what I'm trying to do. When it comes to that mainly, I'm just trying to just have fun, just have something, have a fun way of interacting with friends and stuff, in a different way and stuff like that. Let's see. But yeah, so that's definitely one of the things that I enjoy doing. Come on, I'm liking these questions though. Y'all are having some fun tonight. I can tell. Definitely a fun crowd here tonight, live on TikTok and watching on YouTube. As you guys are watching the replay on YouTube while I'm recording this live. That's why on the YouTube version I keep looking this way because I'm looking at the camera here, or like talking to the audience. But when technically I've also got a camera right here that's also filming for the podcast version of this, which will be on YouTube as well. Have I ever met Duncan Brannon? Actually, I've met him twice. I met him once in 2007, and then I also met him in 2019 during ChuckECon 2019. Also, real quick, I do want to say thank you to those who are sending gifts in the chat tonight. Y'all are awesome. I know I said I wouldn't acknowledge it, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. What was your favorite childhood game, console, and game? Okay, so game console, definitely the Super Nintendo, because that's basically the one system I probably grew up with the most. I also, my favorite game on there of all time for the Super Nintendo specifically is Donkey Kong Country 2. It's one of my absolute favorite games of all time. I can't tell you how much time I spent on that game playing it as a kid. I really loved playing that game all the time. It was my favorite one to get down on. Was playing Donkey Kong Country 2 because of the one thing I really liked about that game and what made it fun too was the soundtrack. The soundtrack to that game is chef's kiss. So, but yeah, that's the main thing is that's probably my favorite game of all time. Favorite of all time. Let's see. Game soundtracks are a whole different monster to kind of get on. Those are there's some games that have amazing soundtracks and some that have forgettable ones too. Okay, here's an example. Another one of my favorite games from Donkey Kong or from the Super Nintendo is Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. Another one of my favorite games of all time. Top 5, definitely. That might be there might be a little bit of a bias on that because I know a lot of people didn't like that one. But for me personally, I really like that game a lot. But what made that one, not as good as 2 was the lack of soundtrack on that one. That one had a couple of good tracks, but that's the problem. It only had a couple of good tracks to actually to make it sound good. Meanwhile, Donkey Kong Country 2, every single track on that game was flawless. Absolutely flawless. My favorite one will always be the Sticker Brush Symphony. One of my favorite tracks from that game specifically. Sonic Adventure 2 soundtrack. Absolutely. Sonic Adventure 2 is another one of those games that doesn't have a single bad track on it. And it really is one of the gems of the Dreamcast / GameCube, depending on which one you played it on. So yeah, those are definitely the big pluses on those specifically. Fall Guys soundtrack. Honestly, I've never played Fall Guys, so I can't really say whether or not it's good or not. So, but yeah, I mean those. Like I said, for me, I'm very selective. That to me is what can make or break a good game is the soundtrack. Another game that's got a really good soundtrack is Mario 64. To me, that's another game that has no flawless tracks either. Have I played the TMT arcade? It depends on which version you're talking about. If you're talking about the original one, absolutely. Turtles in Time, absolutely. The Nickelodeon version that came out in 2017, oh, absolutely. Played all of those at one point or another. Star Fox Adventures has a good soundtrack too as well, along with Mario Kart Double Dash. I'm honestly, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of slack for this, but I've honestly never played Star Fox. I've seen my other friends have played it, but I personally have never actually played that game. I've never even played The Legend of Zelda either. Those are two games that I've never actually played at all, in general. Legend of Zelda, I think I played on the NES because my aunt had it at one point. So I would play, whenever she would, it was the only NES cartridge that was like made of like that looked like gold or whatever. So Mario Kart Double Dash has a great soundtrack as well too. I really like the way that turned out as well too. Another amazing game as well. And so yeah, those are some of my favorite like when it comes to gaming soundtracks and stuff. So you can never go wrong with that. So yeah, those are some of my favorite like other things too. So that's another big thing is that again I love the thing is like my passion for just retro stuff is beyond just the ChuckECheese stuff. I absolutely, of course, obviously that's the big one for me, but truthfully, I think that the my biggest passion is just 80s retro um in in general, honestly. What is my favorite movie? That is a good question, actually. Now, that has multiple answers because I love multiple movies and stuff. First on that list is the movie with zero flaws in my book. This movie has zero flaws in it, and it had three movies. And that would have to be Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3. I absolutely love those movies. They are some of my favorite movies of all time. I usually, like once a year, I will stop what I'm doing and watch those movies once a year at least. Another movies I really enjoyed are Star Wars. I absolutely love the Star Wars universe. And to be honest, I know I'm going to get a lot of slack for this too, but my favorites, I do actually enjoy the prequels and the sequels of the original Star Wars movies. So yes, the new ones that came out not too long ago, I actually enjoy those. I can hear y'all judging me through the screen totally. So my favorite song. Ooh, we're going down this territory. Well, before we go down that territory, we're also going to continue with movies real quick. When it comes to movies, I do also love like Beetlejuice is one of my favorite movies of all time. Austin Powers is one of my favorite movies of all time. Let's see what else. I'm trying to think here. Spaceballs, which is a parody of Star Wars, is one of my favorite movies of all time. Also, Robin Hood Men in Tights is also another classic movie I absolutely love. Do I like Harry Potter? Yes, I do. Absolutely love Harry Potter. Those movies are absolutely amazing as well too. Truthfully, I did try to read the books, but I just can't sit down and read for the life of me. so so that's where that also comes into play too. I do enjoy the Harry Potter movies because it's so cool seeing how the characters, and grow and all that. So somebody asked earlier what my favorite song is. Um Favorite song. I've got several actually. One of my favorites right now that's been in rotation is Back to Life by Ollie Ride. Ollie Ride is a synthwave music artist. He makes some really great synthwave style music. Um, One of my favorite songs from my favorite band of all time is One More Light by Linkin Park. Of course, any Linkin Park song is my favorite because Linkin Park is one of my favorite bands of all time. Um, there's a lot I can talk about with their music and stuff, but I think that's going to be a podcast in itself. It's talking about music and music influences through my life and stuff like that, and kind of just like I said, the goal is to make it where my main goal is to eventually make it to where my account can be like anybody can come here and enjoy whatever they want, whether it's a you know whether it's just hanging out or if it's just doing this. Carrie was amazing in Man in Tights. Absolutely, he was. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm trying to go back. Do I have a favorite candy? Oh, I absolutely do. One of my favorite candies is probably M&M's. I love M&M's as far as like candy goes. Non-chocolate candy would have to be Sweet Tarts. I used to like, they were called Shock Tarts or Shockers, I think is what they were called at one point. But then they became Sweet Tarts Sours. But then they changed the recipe on them and they taste more like Sprees now. So I don't really like those as much as I used to. They changed them and, not for the better. Yeah, but when it comes to like other snacks, like, I love Pringles. Like those are my favorites. And then also Oreos and chocolate Chips Ahoy's are my absolute favorite snacks as well too. Let's see. But yeah, that's the main things is that, those are the main things is like candy wise that I really like. Trying to see where I'm at with time here. Oh, okay. Still doing pretty good. Trying to make the video less than at least around an hour or so. Maybe a little beyond that if I can. What is my favorite food? I think we all know what the answer to that is. Pizza. Absolutely love pizza. And the thing is, when it comes to that, like it varies by the place that I'm going to. Like there are some places I can eat for days. There are some that I'm like, I'll pass. And some of them I just recently rediscovered and actually do like now as an adult, which is kind of interesting because there are some places that I, never thought that I would ever actually like, but here we are. What is your favorite fast food? Oh, here we go with a good one. The top tier list of my fast food places has to be Whataburger. If you're from South Texas or you're from the lower Texas regions and stuff, you know that Whataburger is life. And if you haven't had it yet, you need to come down to Texas and try it. What's stopping you? Probably besides money. Whataburger, always and forever. And Gina coming in with the facts. Most definitely, Whataburger is probably my absolute favorite of all of them. Top tier burger indulging. Favorite vintage arcade game? Ooh, we're bouncing into this territory. That's actually a really good question. Willow asked that question. Shout out. Favorite vintage arcade game would probably have to be good question. Trying to think of like one that I could like play all the time. There's a lot of them I really like, honestly. I'm trying to think. It's a good question, honestly. This one's got me stumped a little bit, honestly. Probably one of my favorites, I would say, is probably the Atari Star Wars game. I'm not very good at it, but it's one of my favorites to play though. That one was made in like the late 70s too, so like around the same time that ChuckECheese was like slowly coming to life as well. Another good one that I really like to play is classic Pong. Like classic Pong on an actual original arcade machine is really neat. Let's see. Favorite place to go grocery shopping at? That's definitely a different and a good question, honestly. For me personally, I like shopping at Kroger. Since there's no HEBs around here. If there was an HEB close by, which is like a southern Kroger basically, but like 20 times better, I'd probably be shopping there. But for now, I just shop at Kroger. Kroger's definitely good with like savings and stuff like that. Tom Thumb is kind of pricey. We have Tom Thumbs down here, so those are all right. Let's see what else we got here. Who is my favorite character from ChuckECheese? I think that's obvious. No, seriously though, Jasper has always been one of my favorite characters. It's one of the main reasons why I was trying so hard to get him first. It was like the main character I've wanted to get when I first started working on that. See, Alex, yeah, Alex gets it. TMMT or Power Rangers? Okay, now you're putting me on the block now you're putting me in a corner here, Bree. That's kind of a tough one, to be honest. I would definitely say oh man, that's a hard one because I do love both Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles, honestly. But if I had to pick one, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to pick Power Rangers. I grew up with Power Rangers. Heck, I used to have Power Rangers like sheets and stuff in my bedroom when I was a kid. So I was even the Green Ranger for Christmas one year, or for Halloween one year. That's definitely one of my favorites. Is the Green Ranger. And then one year my aunt or my grandma actually made me the Power Rangers Zeo Megazord outfit. So yeah, if I had to pick, but I do love Ninja Turtles as well too. The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series, one of my absolute favorites. I am in all fairness, Brooke, I am definitely a Mikey fan when it comes to Ninja Turtles. Absolutely. With the pizza and the Jim Henson pump, it's absolutely, I mean, yeah, of course. But the thing was, like, I was more into Power Rangers because I had a lot more Power Rangers collectibles than I did the actual Ninja Turtle stuff. I did have some early Ninja Turtle stuff when I was younger, but then, you know, but I do have a soft spot for the Ninja Turtles, though, always. Somebody asked, what are my thoughts on the King animatronic? That is one of my favorite characters as well, too. Shout out to Jarrett, who's having a lot of success with that. So, but let's see. What is your favorite ChuckECheese show tape that you were in? That's a really good one. So, I've been on a lot of ChuckECheese show tapes over the years, whether it was as a puppeteer or a waking up one of the characters or video editing as well too. I've done a lot of things with ChuckECheese over the years, and that's also going to be another podcast episode. I think that's going to be like its own connection, I think, or its own episode. I really think that deserves to be its own thing at some point. Let's see. But if I had to pick my favorite one, though. Okay. It has to be April 2012. That was probably one of my favorite ones to be a part of. The reason being is because I had a bunch of parts in that show. Not just as a performer or puppeteer stuff, but like, okay, so that one, with that show specifically, April 2012, I got to wake up Aloysius Dimpleton, the dancing bear. I also woke up Chucky for Need a New Wheel. That was a lot of fun riding a bike. I say that very sarcastically because it was a nightmare. Just kidding, it really wasn't, but it was a challenge to say the least. Um, I was also the puppeteer for Pasquale in that show as well too. And I also did some video editing as well too. I was also so I edited and slash created the graphic behind Aloysius Dimpleton and the Party Rock dancers when they were dancing in the studio. That graphic was made by me. I made that. The beginning of it and the outro of it were both my edits. And then also I also edited Camouflage and Best of My Love. Those were also my edits as well. So not only did I get to, be a puppeteer, wake up a costume character, but I also got to also video edit too. That was my first time I got to video edit for ChuckECheese, which was really neat, honestly. It was a lot of fun to do that, and luckily I still get to do that to this day. Which, like I said, that in itself can be a whole episode on its own. But like I said, for this series, I really want to focus more on, like I said, other things outside of what I normally do. So, thanks for answering. Absolutely. Like I said, I'm trying to answer as much as I can for this episode. This, for those who don't know what's going on, I'm sure, for those who have probably heard me say it like the 20 billionth time on the video. So we are currently recording a podcast. As you can see, I've got my mic here, but what you can't see is my other camera over here that's filming video for a new video I'm going to post on my YouTube channel. This is going to be a full episode that you can watch on there. So this is what we're going to call the pilot episode, which is where we're just taking questions from my TikTok audience tonight. Yes, a podcast. I've decided to dabble with it a little bit more and try it out and see. The idea being is that I want to eventually, I want to kind of stretch out beyond my normal audience and try to get people more into retro stuff, ChuckECheese, whatever, but also share aspects of my life that I've never shared before, or experiences from things that I've done in my past. I just feel like it's finally time to bring it to life, honestly. It's time to just kind of do something new. So this is a step in trying some new stuff for not just for my YouTube channel, but also just for me to learn more as a content creator specifically. So, do you have any advice for someone with anxiety? Well, that's a really good question, Bree. Honestly, again, this is not medical advice. I'm not trying to give advice like that around here. However, what's it called? I kind of lost track here. Oh yeah, anxiety. Sorry. I would say, again, this is just me giving just general advice. I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on television. I would say, if you ever get nervous, whenever you're doing stuff, I always tell people to always be the best version of yourself and always just be your genuine self. If people are picking on you or people are treating you wrong, there's reasons for it. They are probably insecure themselves or they've got their own things that they're dealing with and they try to throw it on other people. But, the main thing is, always, no matter what happens, always be the best version of yourself. Because when it comes down to it, you're the only person who can you're the only person who can actually do that stuff. So, all right, let's see. Oh, hey Matt, long time. Glad to see you're doing well. Hey, what's up, Sam? Sam is a longtime friend of mine. I've known him since middle school, actually. So he got to see me when am I strangest. But anyways, but yeah, it's cool to see when people, you know, when people actually come in and that are from my childhood, and getting to see them pop in every now and it's always nice. It's always great, and also it's great to see everybody else too. I'm very appreciative of everybody who's been hanging out for the last probably hour or so that we've been doing this. Yeah, at this point, yeah, almost a full hour at this point. Um, we're probably gonna go. I'm gonna probably try to make this run an hour probably. I wonder how many people are still watching this on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, I want you to do me a favor. If you got to this point in the video, I want you to comment down below with a pizza slice emoji. I really want to see how many people are going to get to this part of the video. I really want to see like how it's going to happen. Not obviously because you guys are in here right now. I mean, you don't have to do it, but I'm talking about the people who are watching this on the YouTube video. We're going to see how many people actually got to this point in the video and actually are going to do this. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how that all kind of goes about. But yeah, like that's another thing we'll be sharing a lot of too, is a lot of my like childhood triumphs and a lot of failures and stuff that I had to go through. Because there's a lot that a lot of people don't know about me. They just know the ChuckECheese side. I'm ready to dive. I'm ready to dive in more into who I am as Matt Rivera, other than Matt the Franchise. Because obviously everybody knows Matt the Franchise, but they don't know the person who's behind the character, which is me. So we're really going to start digging more into that as time goes on, and be able to, share more aspects of my life and really give you guys a chance to really kind of see more of me as an actual person and not just a person who makes like YouTube videos and stuff. That's my personal goal for this, is to, for you guys to see more of me. Another question we got in here. Which one do you prefer better, Avenger Chuck or Rockstar Chuck? Now, truthfully, I cannot put these two up against each other because they're both very different and very unique. So I'm going to have to say both because I love both versions of the characters. They're both very unique variations of ChuckECheese, and you can't say that one is better than the other, to be truthful. Even though we all know Avenger's better, but I digress. Rockstar's cool too. But yeah, they're both, like I said, they're both good to, in their own unique way, basically. So they both have their flaws. They both have their positivities. They've all got something to offer to, the ChuckECheese fans and stuff. So yeah. But yeah. We're definitely getting off to the right. Now, what if that animatronic activates randomly? So, real quick, I'm going to just put it out there. There's no way he can turn on at this point. He's not aired up. He's actually aired down. So, he can't move at all without compressed air inside of him. So, without the air compressor running, he can't move unless I manually move him around or something. So, these characters can't move at all. What's an achievement or goal you want to see yourself accomplish? That is a Really, really good question, actually. And there's a kind of deep answer to that. So, just going to keep it short and sweet. My goal is to be, or what I want is to be successful at everything I do. I want to be able to create a better life, not just for myself, but for my future spouse, whoever that may be someday. I want to be able to have a healthy lifestyle where I can actually, not feel so cluttered in an apartment like I do right now, and be able to have enough space to be able to display all of my stuff for people to enjoy. And I really just want, I just want to be able to have something in my life that I can say I did and be proud of. I feel like I've achieved some of that since, since being here on TikTok and on YouTube. I've been on YouTube for almost 20 years now at this point. It's crazy to think about. So, but more importantly, I think that this is probably the best place to probably stop the episode here. I think this is a great place to stop. Again, I just want to say thank you to everybody who is listening, who has made it this far into the video. I truly hope that you guys enjoyed this. I really hope that y'all had fun hanging out with me on this video specifically. This will be the beginning of a new series, and hopefully something that will be seen here soon. But also, just to let you all know, on TikTok, I'm not leaving yet. I'm ending the podcast is what I'm doing right now. So I'm not leaving yet. We're still gonna hang out and talk. Don't worry. We're just gonna wrap up the actual video specifically. But thank you guys again for hanging out. And I just want to say how much I appreciate all of you being with me through all these years. It really means the absolute world to me. And of course, as we always say, keep your head up and keep on smiling. Until next time, guys, I will see y'all next time.